Marshalling and contribution. Sections 81-82. Section 81 Marshalling securities. If the owner of two or more properties mortgages them to one person and then mortgages one or more of the properties to another person, the subsequent mortgagee is, in the absence of a contract to the contrary, entitled to have the prior mortgage debt satisfied out of the property or properties not mortgaged to him, so far as the same will extend, but not so as to prejudice the rights of the prior mortgagee or of any other person who has for consideration acquired an interest in any of the properties. Section 81 of the Transfer of Property Act, 1882, deals with the concept of marshalling securities in the context of mortgages. It essentially protects the rights of a subsequent mortgagee, ensuring they don't bear the brunt of a prior mortgage when multiple properties are involved. Here's a breakdown of the key elements. Conditions. Multiple properties. There must be two or more properties owned by the same person. To mortgages, these properties must be mortgaged into separate transactions. First mortgage. The first mortgage involves all the properties being mortgaged to a single person, referred to as the prior mortgagee. Second mortgage. The second mortgage involves only some of the properties being mortgaged to another person, the subsequent mortgagee. Right of subsequent mortgagee. In this scenario, the subsequent mortgagee has the right to request that the prior mortgage debt be satisfied primarily from the properties not included in their own mortgage. This prevents the subsequent mortgagee from having their secured interest diminished due to the earlier mortgage on other properties. Limitations. Contractual agreement. This right can be overridden if there is a specific agreement between the involved parties that contradicts the marshalling rule. Prior mortgagee rights. The satisfaction of the prior mortgage debt cannot compromise the prior mortgagee's rights or the rights of anyone else who holds a legitimate interest in any of the properties. Benefits. Marshalling helps ensure fairness and protects the subsequent mortgagee from facing an unfairly increased burden due to prior mortgages on other properties. It promotes responsible lending practices and transparency in mortgage transactions. Application. This section typically applies to commercial or real estate transactions involving multiple properties and different lenders. Understanding this concept is crucial for lawyers, lenders, and property owners to navigate mortgage agreements and protect their interests effectively. Examples. Imagine a person owns two houses, House A and House B. They first mortgage both houses to Bank X. Later, they mortgage House A to Bank Y. If the person defaults, Bank Y can use Section 81 to request that Bank X first recover its debt from House B, so that House A remains available to satisfy Bank Y's mortgage. I hope this explanation clarifies the meaning and implications of Section 81 of the Transfer of Property Act. If you have any further questions or require more specific examples, feel free to ask. Section 82 Contribution to Mortgage Debt, where property subject to a mortgage belongs to two or more persons having distinct and separate rights of ownership therein. The different shares in or parts of such property owned by such persons are, in the absence of a contract to the contrary, liable to contribute ratably to the debt secured by the mortgage, and, for the purpose of determining the rate at which each such share or part shall contribute, the value thereof shall be deemed to be its value at the date of the mortgage after deduction of the amount of any other mortgage or charge to which it may have been subject on that date. Where, of two properties belonging to the same owner, one is mortgaged to secure one debt and then both are mortgaged to secure another debt, and the former debt is paid out of the former property, each property is, in the absence of a contract to the contrary, liable to contribute ratably to the latter debt after deducting the amount of the former debt from the value of the property out of which it has been paid. Nothing in this section applies to a property liable under Section 81 to the claim of the subsequent mortgagee. Section 82, Contribution to Mortgage Debt explained. Section 82 of the Transfer of Property Act, 1882, deals with the concept of contribution among co-mortgagors or multiple property owners sharing a mortgage burden. It essentially lays out the rules for sharing the responsibility of repaying a mortgage debt when more than one person or party is involved. Key points: applies to mortgaged property owned by two or more persons with distinct ownership rights, co-mortgagors. To properties owned by the same person, first mortgaged individually and then together. Contribution principle: each co-mortgager's share of the property contributes proportionally to the mortgage debt based on its value at the time of the mortgage, minus any existing charges. In the second scenario, both properties contribute proportionally to the second debt after deducting the first debt paid from the first property's value. Contractual override: agreements contrary to this section can supersede its provisions. Exclusion: properties already subject to the subsequent mortgagee's claim under Section 81, marshalling, are excluded from contribution under this section. Benefits: ensures fair distribution of the mortgage burden among co-owners or parties involved. Prevents disproportionate burden on any single co-mortgager. Promotes transparency and clarity in mortgage agreements. Examples: two friends co-own a house and jointly mortgage it for a loan. Under Section 82, their individual shares of the house contribute proportionally to the mortgage debt based on their ownership percentages. A person owns two houses, House A and House B. He first mortgages House A alone to Bank X. Later, he mortgages both houses to Bank Y. If House A's value is $100,000 and House B's value is $200,000, both houses will contribute proportionally to the second debt, with House A's contribution reduced by the value of the first debt already paid off. Remember, this is a simplified explanation. Legal advice should be sought for specific scenarios and interpretations. Section 81 and 82 work together to protect different rights and interests in mortgage transactions involving multiple properties and parties. I hope this elaborates on Section 82 and its significance in a clearer and more comprehensive way. Feel free to ask further questions if you need more specifics or details.